The creative process has a life of its own, and very often we're only looking at it from our own perspective, our own journey. And in this storytelling process, but in life in general, it's a lot of stories that are weaving together, that are coming in and out of each other's lives. And if we don't acknowledge that and cultivate a space for that, we'll only see that one perspective. My project was to work with underprivileged children to create a musical with a nonprofit called Akanksha. The first thing that all the fellows did when we arrived in India was to have an orientation. And part of that orientation, which I really appreciated, was to provide context of not just our project, but why we were there, context to India, context to where we were in our own personal journeys. There was a lot of self-reflection, and it really set up this project in a way that was unlike any other journey or experience that I've had. Usually it's very goal-oriented, and it's just getting it done, and that's it. And this was very interesting because the Indicor experience was a balance of those two. We obviously were all there to do something very practical and tangible, and making a musical is a thing, not just a process. But there was a lot of attention and reflection given to the process by which we were doing it. And that's something that I know has stuck with me since I've left Indicor. It's become a way and a perspective by which I approach everything, including the work that I'm doing now, which, funnily enough, is about nonlinear storytelling, and recognizing that the context in which the story is being told is of, I don't want to say equal importance, but is the story itself too. And to ignore the context is not really honoring and providing the true meaning that the story can hold. That sort of methodology of being able to have a structure, I think, is still very important, but then being able to kind of let go and be in the free fall of the moment, to improvise, to see what can happen, I think became the way in which I operated throughout the entire year. So what started off as like this sort of like overwhelmed feeling of like everything is going not according to the plan. And it was something that I actually had to have a conversation with both the nonprofit that I was working with and Indicor, because the metrics that I had set down as progress or markers by which we could measure, I wasn't hitting any of them. And no one could understand why not, because they didn't have the context of what I really was doing. And I think there was a lot of frustration on everyone's end, because it looked like I was doing nothing while I was doing these drama classes. Even though I intuitively felt that foundation had to be there, I couldn't rationally reason it, so I couldn't explain myself to Indicor or at least the staff at Indicor and the nonprofit. And in fact, it got to the point where the tensions were getting so high and the changes were happening so much that they had brought another fellow to kind of observe and kind of figure out how can we navigate through whatever is happening, what is going on. And it was amazing, because having this other fellow on board and really living, like traveling with me day to day, seeing what was going on, I felt like he was able to understand the context of what I was doing and really provide that to Akanksha and to the staff so that they could say, no, actually, yes, that is the plan, but this project scope is way bigger than any of us realized, because there's all this foundational stuff. There's all these, we have to listen to where the children are coming from. We have to understand where the final musical is going. And without putting all those things into place, this plan is just a plan of an intellectual concept. And having that support and understanding and recognizing the importance of that dialogue was vital, actually, in changing the whole situation from being this very tense and overwhelming situation to feeling like I was a part of a group and a team, and we were working together. I have taken that and made it a much more integral process in my own artistic experience. I'm very keen on examining the process as the product. And so looking at all the people involved, listening, it's a lot of just hearing the stories, and then it's about just giving yourself space. The creative process has a life of its own, and very often we're only looking at it from our own perspective, our own journey. And in this sort of storytelling process, but in life in general, it's a lot of stories that are weaving together, that are coming in and out of each other's lives. And if we don't acknowledge that and cultivate a space for that, we'll never see that. We'll only see that one perspective. And I think that's kind of been my approach now, is to kind of feed myself on all the different perspectives from all the different people that are involved, and then literally just letting all of that kind of go and seeing what moves me, seeing what that inspiration, where it comes from, and following that, honoring that.